Good afternoon, I believe is the time zone there, or in some
Wherever
of
we
your
are.
time zone.
It's good
I'm in,
afternoon somewhere.
yeah, I'm in Thailand, so nearly midnight now.
There we go. All right. Well, I'm in Australia. It's very, very early, so we're all in this together. It's
We're
it's a
all
good.
in this, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say congratulations on the show. I watched the first few episodes just to get a feel of it, and it's like it's I feel like we don't get enough swashbuckling kind of shows, and then I like that this also goes beyond that and it works with a lot of like power and positioning and things like that. And I wanted to ask all three of you, like, I guess underneath the show it is about power, like who holds it, who enforces it, and who benefits from it. Like when you each first read the script, where did you feel that your characters sat within that power structure?
I
Alanah, you
guess
go
for
first.
yeah, I guess for Marianne, she's kind of I always like to think of like it's like you have this deck of cards as when you're playing characters, and do you rank high or do you rank low? And I think that's always a good in for me. And I think on her outside she is a really high ranking character because of her position in society and what she gets for free and her privilege, but really on the inside she's kind of quite low ranking because there's so much she can't claim for herself, and it's about how she defies what's on the inside, and I guess what she really wants in life, and how she I guess how she overcomes the fact that she can't get what she wants, and fights the good fight to become the hero of this story.
John, are you doing?
Totally agreeing with what Alanah said for her character, and would simply add to that. I think, we all work for the man, whether
Mm.
then or now. And even Ed's character, Lord, um, what was your name? Brooke. Even Lord Brooke is works for the establishment, is kind of imprisoned by the establishment, and has his own dreams and ambitions that he wants to pursue. And similarly for my character, is no more obvious symbol of working for the man than wearing his uniform. So
Yeah, I would add to that
sorry about that, Ed.
oh, that's great. You answered my answer for me. I appreciate it. Um, Power is a massive part in this. Is the whole idea of what is it that you want, what do you think you want, and what will you do if you get it, right? And it's take power thing aside, but what you want is a very human, relatable human thing. I think we all kind of go after what we want, whether or not we pursue it with obsession and drive like my character does, Lord James Brooke. That's to be seen. We're all different, but yes, there is. Everyone's trying to get a sense of power and a sense of identity and figure out who they are, and when they get there, what does it mean, and all of that. So it's a fantastic character to play, full of ambition, full of drive, obsession. I'm still, even though we've done the whole first season, I'm still unsure about what it is that he truly wants. But I think again, that is something that changes throughout a life, doesn't it, for us? We're sure at one minute we want this thing, and then something else happens, and it's like, I don't really want that, I want that. And this is humanity. This is what it is to be a human. It's difficult to navigate life. So you're along with these characters as they navigate this moment in their life, which throws a lot at them. And it's a hell of a ride. It's a really fascinating, classic story with action, adventure, and romance, and beautiful, beautiful scenes. So yeah, we're really, really pleased with it.
And because one of the earlier on moments is like when Marion releases the caged monkey and she says like, I don't like cages, even golden ones. It's like, it's obviously such a simple line, but it feels like a mission statement for the series. And I want to ask you first, Alanah, like, did you play that as instinctive rebellion, or as the first time that she's like consciously realizes she's living inside a gilded version of a system that she'll reject?
I think that's such an interesting question, and I really always loved that line and thought a lot about how to, play that moment. And I think it's something that she's actually been waiting to say. It's almost like she's reveling in saying that to someone in such a high position of power, because she can get away with it in that moment, because he's charming her and it's a big birthday party and she's protected and she's safe. So she's got so much privilege in that moment because she can make that dig and then brush it off. So it's like a little win for her in that moment. And I guess it really sets the precedent of where she wants to go in life and how difficult it's going to be for her.
And John, like, Sergeant Murray, like he's tasked with maintaining order. Like, does a moment like that, like, does it register as a warning sign for him, or does he sort of think Marianne's like already becoming a problem at that point?
Yeah, I mean, a problem. I certainly think he's recognized her spirit and her desire for more freedom. He kind of follows her around a bit like a bodyguard and a bit like a what do you call it? Somebody who's there to keep her in line, as it were. Certainly, that would be my function from her father's point of view. I certainly see that within Marianne, and it's something that he's not capable of. He's not capable of having those kind of thoughts. I think Murray is more driven earlier on by guilt of things in the past rather than desire for things in the future. But it certainly sees where she is and who she is.
And with that, and like Brooke, who, like, he offers her a future that looks so privileged, but it's probably just as constricting. Like, does he see himself as offering freedom, or is he kind of just like, this is just a more elegant cage, essentially?
Well, there's an interesting scene when they're hunting the tiger, right? That he kind of lets you on to know a little bit more about him. That maybe he's not as old school as some of the old guard, and doesn't see women in the same way as maybe people of Marianne's father do, or something like that. But so I think he offers, a little bit of hope, and to say, hey, come on, I'm not. It's not going to be like that. If you kind of come along with me, things will be better. Blah blah blah. But ultimately, you're still going to be here, and that doesn't align up with, and in this kind of setup that doesn't really align with Marianne, although she wants to stay in that region for sure. But it's very funny, isn't it? They don't know each other. It's such a strange thing to watch, isn't it? It's this man shows up on a ship and he says, "How you doing? Happy birthday. Let's get married." So I mean, if only it was that simple. But but no, it's and it's interesting. And what's great about that is we get to be reminded of conventions of different times, and I think that's what's really interesting from the historical point of view. So, you don't have to be, it operates on so many levels. People who love history will love this. People who love romance will love this. There's the action, which is big and fun. There's all of that. So I really feel like this is a show for everybody. But yeah, great character, man.
Because the series does ask, I guess, who history remembers and who it forgets. And I guess when audiences finish the show, to all of you, like, how do you hope they understand your characters' specific choices, like not as right or wrong, but I guess as inevitable in the world that they live in?
Ultimately, I think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
No, you go.
I think, yeah, for Marianne, it's she appears quite ignorant at the start of the series, and her relationship specifically with I guess Sani, who is this maid character, but she assumes is almost her best friend, and how there is a level of ignorance to that, and how the story transpires and she learns really what a true friendship is, and there is a lot of love there that they have for each other, but it takes her quite a few episodes to kind of open her eyes to all that is her father's doing in the world, and it's kind of real awakening moment for her where she kind of starts to take control and realize, all is not, what is said to be true. And she starts to make decisions that, will ultimately affect the fate of, where her life goes and the direction it goes, because of the people around her have kind of been protecting her from everything. So yeah.
I don't remember my answer now, so
So no, carry on.
it's fine. I was caught up in yours and then it's gone. So please go ahead.
John?
I mean, I think one of the lovely things about this script is that so many of the characters have a past and hopefully have a future that they dream of, hope for, and that gives them more of a depth than being simply functional in terms. I mean, for much of the series, Murray is quite functional, but he carries something in his heart. He carries a regret in his heart that we discover later. I think that's in the scheme of things that's quite a minor storyline, but it does allow me to play the character as a whole human being rather than simply someone who does. Yeah, that is pretty simple and straightforward. Really, there's no big mystery about that one. Ed.
I still don't. Next question.
Well, just before wrapping up, like, obviously we're so used to certain tropes happening in these sort of shows, and I guess, was there one, like, almost, expected, quote unquote, like, typical trope that you were glad the show incorporated, and then something that you were really happy that it didn't lean into at all?
I guess her not being too much of like a damsel in distress. Like, obviously there is an element of her being like rescued, and Brooke comes in and he thinks rescues her from Sandokan, but there's so much more to it than that. And I think I'm really glad that it sort of like touched on it, but then kind of unraveled, and you saw really it wasn't like him saving her. He was doing something for himself maybe in that moment. So
I don't really have, on the tropes. I don't know. It just, these scripts surprised me. It was, you think you can predict the story when you're reading something. You don't think something's going to be as good as it is. I remember having that reaction, and it was beautifully simplistic but yet complex, and the characters surprised me and had layers, and the way it's all woven together is just wonderful. You think it's going to be a very straightforward hero villain, period piece adventure thing for kids or something, and it's not. This is something that can be enjoyed on multiple layers by people at different ages. The older generation will pick up on the comparisons with geopolitical stuff now, and on the complexity of relationships and how hard it is to be a person. And then, younger people might just enjoy the action and the adventure and the costume and stuff like that. So it's really, yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised when I read these scripts, and really think that they've done a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know necessarily about tropes, but I just thought it, like, all the main characters on their journey had complexities. They were never motivated simply by I want to win, I want the money, I want the girl. There's all sorts of dynamics at play, and I think that's what makes the show as good as it is.
No, yeah, because it's like, obviously, now we all sort of think of Pirates of the Caribbean as like the closest thing, but like growing up, I'm like, Cutthroat Island was a banger movie when I was a kid, and like I'm really happy that this genre is still around, and it's gonna find a brand new audience with this show. And it's funny, and it's got action, and it's sexy as hell, and it's like, this is the kind of shows that we need right now, as a good escapism in the world, but it's also got a lot of depth to it as well. So yeah, as I said, like, congratulations to all of you, and it's a great way to start the year. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.